Alrighty, good morning everybody. It is Thursday, August 3rd, 2023. Let's jump right into it and go back to yesterday and take a look at what happened. Now, if you recall from the pre-market yesterday, we said that there were no signs for the bulls, right? And we said, well, doesn't mean that the bulls can't jump in and rotate the market. Anything's possible, but we didn't really have any signals giving us clues for a potential bounce. So we were bears and we had some lines in the sand, right? Getting through and actually starting off here. Here's the open. And, we rejected, and we talked about it in the pre-market, right off, I believe it was the 38% retracement of the push up. So the market bounced right from the area we were watching as a kind of a dividing line for our bias on the higher time frames. We bounced, but then got rejected right at the 38% retracement. And before we even got to the open here, we were rejecting and coming down below VWAP, right? There was a nice parry right off the holy orange power level there with no steam to it. And so all these things adding up, a bearish bias with no signs for the bulls in the overnight session, getting a rejection to the tick right off the 38 retrace, and then the market continuing to sell off and get below VWAP. These are all signs that you potentially want to be looking for bearish trades. So let's look at what happened here. Market came down, first of all, holding the FMA the whole way down. And then it got a little bit of a bounce and came right up, and actually missed the VWAP there, but came right up essentially within 2 ticks of VWAP. And then it was a stair step pretty much the whole way down. So we talk about this concept very often. When we have really good levels, a lot of times we see the market basically hold the first one, come to the next one, come to the next one. And literally, I mean like it's walking down a flight of stairs, held the scaffolding level here, and then it held, let's zoom in here, right off the holy orange power level here. This was about 10-20 minutes after the open. As it was failing and continuing to hold below the levels, great opportunity there to try the whole orange power level, and that was it, right? So you could have either gotten short out of the open and maybe caught a little tiny push, or you could have gotten short right around the scaffolding level, took on a couple ticks of heat, and that's it. The market sold off from there. So if you took it there or you took it from the holy orange power level, these were two really, really nice areas to jump in and never had your position challenged as the market sold off the rest of the day. Now, if this was too much in the weeds because the market was kind of chopping out of the open here, you got your perfect opportunity when the market continued to sell off and came right back to the 200 moving average. That is our textbook trade setup. It was also right off of the morning support, right? So we got a double bottom right at 45.58 quarter. That led to this little micro bounce right to the scaffolding to retest. Then we came down. And in fact, that was a nice 50% to 61.8 retracement right there, right off the Hopel. And then the market came down right to the 200 and this previous support from the morning. And then again, another opportunity there. If you were waiting for stuff to kind of show itself, if you were waiting for the face to be shown out of the open, that was it. We continued to sell off and then came right into the 200. Again, tested it here 3 times with just a couple ticks of heat. So if you didn't catch that, I don't know what to tell you. Those are the setups that we talk about. Waiting for seeing our bias start to occur. Remember that the confirmation of our bearish bias was a break below this level right here, right? So we got a little bit, was just a peak, but that was really the start of it, right? So we got our first clue in addition to all of the other things. Look at the orientation of the moving averages. Look at where we were in terms of holding our levels right to it, right? And we talked about this in our weekly webinar yesterday. Continued to sell off, bam, right off the FMA the whole way down, was holding the FMA. And then what do you know? We got to our scaffolding level and the market started to find some support. So again, just day in, day out, this is typically what we see happen with the levels that we use. We got a little duck through. It did hold nearly to the tick many times. And then what do you know? Failed off the 200 again. So if you were looking for trades on the bearish side of things, as the market was doing exactly what we talked about in our pre-market, you could have got a second opportunity off the 200 here. Okay, there were actually 3 opportunities, and then this would have been your 4th opportunity here. Now, did it go for an additional 10, 20 points like the first test? No, it went right to the scaffolding where I would have taken profit for 5 points, and then it kind of played around, and it got a little choppy in here. And then this was your next opportunity as the market continued to hold below all of our critical levels, came right back to the 200, and the back end of the scaffolding, once the market was chopping, and cut through, came right back to it, and we got a rejection. Now, it wasn't a continuation lower. We didn't get, and we don't know what's going to happen next. So, you know, that right there was another 5-point opportunity, 5-6 points. And then it got a little choppy. The interesting thing to note here is that the most important rotations throughout all the chop was right off the scaffolding level. And this level's been on the chart for like a month or 2 now, however long it's been since we moved to the new contract. So we held nearly to the tick many of these times. And then finally, at the end of the day, came right back up and retested the scaffolding level for another pullback. So there were some great opportunities throughout the day yesterday. In my opinion, a pretty easy day. So we talk about easy days, we talk about hard days. All you had to do yesterday was follow the trend and take our textbook trade setups. So beautiful stuff, and that brings us into the overnight session last night. And again, if you were looking for a trade when Globex opened, well, what happened here? Push up, a 50% retracement right to the 200 moving average, and then we got our little peak above with a double top there and failed. So beautiful, an additional beautiful to the tick opportunity, taking nearly no risk. In fact, 0 risk on that trade. So little choppy in the overnight session, but regardless of that, what did we do? We held the VWAP, we held the VWAP, we held the VWAP, and then we held the FMA and continued to sell off. So that's where we are. The market is continuing to sell off at this moment. Now, I'm surprised this pocket here, where we had our scaffolding at 45.22, our little pocket with a kind of a structure zone in here, along with our retracement, all look to me like a really great area for support. But as you can see yesterday, or in the overnight session, it basically sold off. Let's see if I can pull this down. Right to this top end of that zone. That's the swing there. And actually, let me get rid of the, where is it? Get rid of that, clear it up. So it did hold the top end of that pocket, but the bears were way too strong, right? We've just been selling off for over a day now, and they continued to hold it lower. So interestingly enough, when it bounced, it held the back end, which was the low of the day before, right? So there's a reason we watched all these levels and then came down and held the back end of that pocket to then come down lower. And then now at the moment, we've got another scaffolding level here around 45.14.5. And what do you know? The market is finding support right in this area. And what is it doing? Bouncing back and forth between the scaffolding level, the 2 scaffolding levels, essentially. Right? This was a little bit more of a peek through than I would really like. But for all intents and purposes, we've bounced back and forth between our next 2 scaffolding zones here. And now we're bouncing back up. And as you can see, it's pretty messy, right? So here we are coming into the open over here. And yeah, pretty much messy at this point. So in my opinion, there's really nothing better out there for scalping and swing trading the S&P with these levels. If you can find entries that take no risk and then they go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 points, well, you should be able to make money with that over time. I know I have. So at the moment, we are pulling back right off VWAP again. Let's go ahead and jump up to the higher time frames and start looking at what the charts are saying for this morning.